All right, we're going to talk about finding your why. So there is a speaker, his name is Simon Sinek, and he gave a talk on TED back in 2009 about how great leaders inspire action. Now, it's a business talk about just that, about how great leaders understand the why of what they do and that they disseminate this information down through their organization and in their marketing. One of the issues of working from home is people come to your door and they try to sell you solar in the middle of the day when you're home. So, what was I saying about Simon Sinek? So while we're not really understanding our why so that we can disseminate this information and share it, through our organization or through our family, even necessarily, but in anything that we do in life, any change we want to make, understanding our why on its deepest level is going to serve us when we go to make changes, because change is, I was going to say it's hard, and it is hard. It's some parts of it are easy, or sometimes it's easy, but a lot of times it's very difficult. And so if we can go back to our why and we have really deep reasons why we want this change in our lives, then we can implement these behaviors. It makes it easier to reconnect with it and go back and try again and do again and re-implement and reiterate our on our new habits and keep going and not giving up and keep fine-tuning. With parenting, we want to ask ourselves, why do I want to be a better parent? Why do I want to show up differently than the way I'm showing up today as a parent? And then we can move forward from there. So a lot of times when we ask ourselves why, we end up starting with very surface reasons, right? I want a quieter home. I want a more peaceful environment. I want to be able to ask my kids to do something and they do it. I don't want to feel guilty at the end of the day because I yelled. I don't want to feel ashamed because I reacted in a way that I wasn't proud of. And these are great. And but these are benefits. These are outcomes of changing our behavior. They're not necessarily the deeper reasons why. And this is what Simon Sinek says, and I agree with him on this. So we want to go deeper. So why do I want a more peaceful home? Why do I want to just be able to tell my kids something and they listen? I mean, yes, it makes life easier. We all want that. But dig deeper to your deeper why. So for me, my why was about when I was growing up, I did not get the tools that I felt like I needed in order to be at my best and show up as my best self in the world. I dealt with, and still do to this day, I'm still working to overcome a lot of deep-seated self-doubt, along with many, many other things. That's one of my biggest ones, but self-doubt and self-confidence. And so when I became a parent, and I also didn't have great relationships with my parents. Like I have a very poor relationship with my mom now, still to this day. It's very, very minimal. And when I was raising my children, I knew I wanted something very different. I wanted to have a very close connected relationship to my kids all the way through childhood into their adulthood, because they're going to grow up and they're going to move out. And as social beings, like I want a connection that has meaning, not my kids move up and don't need me anymore and they're not going to talk to me, or they're not going to really try to spend time with me because they don't enjoy me, right? I want them to enjoy our connection. I enjoy our connection very much. And so I wanted to have a very different relationship with my kids. My other why is because I wanted them to have all of the skills and the tools that they need so they can be as successful and happy as they possibly can. So they have everything that they need to become the person they want to be. They can set a goal and they have the tools that they need to reach it. They have the grit, they have the perseverance, they have the self-confidence to go after their dreams and to know who they are. When I was growing up, I didn't know who I was or what I wanted, because my job was to take care of both of my parents, really, to make them happy, to make them proud, but particularly to take care of my mom's feelings, and to do everything I possibly could to make sure that she didn't get upset. And that's a lot, right? That's a very codependent dynamic to have growing up. And I never wanted to put that kind of pressure on my children to feel like their job was to please me. Their job is to do what they feel is their calling in their heart and their soul and to become the person they want to become. And I am proud of them, whatever that path is. And my job is to give them all the tools that they need to become that person. And if I had had that growing up, I can't imagine the person that I would be today. I've already made a lot of progress. I had to do a lot of work on my own. But I wanted my children to be ready to just launch into the world when they are, already they're doing that. But, once they're really on their own, I want them to be able to launch into the world. I don't want them to have to go back and heal and rework and figure out who they are and deal with healing and recovering from not having just gotten foundational things, but also obviously any trauma from their upbringing. So I want them set up in a very different way. And that is my deeper why, to why I knew I needed to change as a parent. And having that was my driving force. And it was very, very alive and still is to this day, as I deal with my children. So for me to change my behaviors and talk to them in a different way and have a different pattern and a different dynamic became a lot easier. And then there's a worksheet that goes along with this. So I ask you these exact questions. You'll see on the worksheet. I ask you, what benefits would you like to see as you change your parenting, so that you can start with that and then go deeper into your deeper why, about why it's important to you, what you want for your kids, what you want for your family, as they launch out into the world.